Hello, and welcome back to Whisky, the Lockdown Series, Part 2. Now, you'll be wondering when we're actually going to taste some whiskies, and it's not going to be in this episode, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. We're going to discuss a few more things before we get down to the tasting. I haven't got many props today. We've got the whisky behind me. We've got the open cupboard actually, I didn't realise that. I've got a bottle of Swing, I've got a couple of bottles of that. Swing, I'll just put the camera down there. An interesting one, that one. That was designed for the transatlantic liners. And the QE2 crossed Atlantic. I doubt if it rolled that much, but the idea was, in the Queen Mary, that these bottles would survive on the bar. They're becoming quite collectible. This is Swing Superior. I've also got the Swing Normal Johnny Walker. You'll be able to get them in the whisky auctions. I've got two unopened. I may open them, I may not, I may sell them. Who knows? But right now they're interesting enough. Another thing I wanted to mention was, if you're serious about tasting whiskies, nosing whiskies and learning about whiskies, it's worthwhile getting a book. Now, I've got a few. A French one here which is very handy for me, Whisky, Maison de Whisky, Le Guide de l'Expert, and it goes through whiskies around the world. The one I prefer is one I've got on a tablet here. I've also got the same one on my phone, which is really handy, and on my Kindle, an electronic book, and this one is Michael Jackson's Malt Whisky Compilation. This is fully revised 7th edition, so this is a fairly recent one. Michael Jackson died early 2000s, 2008 maybe, or 2030, I can't remember. It's important that any book that you buy actually agrees with the way that you taste the whiskies, because everyone has got a different palate. When you're younger, your palate and your nose is more acute than when you're older. You'll smell, you'll taste different things. So, for me, I find, I like Michael Jackson, the way he writes. I agree with most things that he says, and so therefore it's a good reference. If I'm looking for another whisky, I can refer to his book, and if he gives it a good mark, I'll probably like it. If he doesn't, I'll probably agree with him. So there we are. Now, when we're on about good whiskies and bad whiskies, there probably are some bad whiskies. I have tasted some, but they were, well, the one in particular I can remember was from India, and it was pretty awful. But as a rule, I would say there are no bad whiskies. And there's no best whisky. Now let's just knock this myth out about the whisky that wins the world championship wherever. I think Nika whisky is sitting up there winning some world championship, and some other whiskies. Let's have a bit of common sense here. We've all got Facebook, we've all got Twitter, we all read newspapers, and surely you don't believe everything that you read. There's a lot of hype. If you keep on seeing that this particular whisky is the best whisky in the world, you probably believe it. Do a bit of digging. This competition that this particular whisky won, how many whiskies do you know were entered in there? I'm saying, do you know that you actually know? A lot of these competitions, the whiskies that are in there win because they're the only ones in that category, or there are very few. So a bit of common sense is required there. Also, what may be the best whisky in my mind, in episode 1 I spoke about liking Lagavulin, the 16-year-old, may not be the best whisky in your mind. It also depends on your mood, what you ate, and what you drank beforehand. And just quickly, when we're speaking about what you drank beforehand, if I'm doing a whisky nosing session, or in France a dégustation, I tend to have chocolate, just plain. I prefer milk chocolate, but plain chocolate is probably better. Plain chocolate or bread. I don't particularly like bread, but one or the other, and you have some of that between each whisky. Now, doing that sort of negates your palate, so you're starting afresh with each one. as opposed to getting the comparison of one after the other, which skews things a little bit. The other thing is, and we're going to go into this in a lot more detail, is I use, when I do degustations, I use props. I use sheets. Now this is single malt, grain, rye, wheat, blend, liqueur, country distillery name, and it goes through all the different flavours that you could be looking for with tick boxes. This is more for your interest. These are going to appear and we're going to go through it. This is a nosing wheel. We'll go through this as well. And this is my main prop. The nosing wheel I let people see and use as reference, but this is my main prop. Whisky name, distiller, notes, and we fill this in. So let's go through these now. The whisky nosing, or the very first one, the country distillery region name. This is a very good reference for you to have, to own. You can fill this in for each whisky, but as a whole there's too much information here. We've got nose, nasal effects, goes pungent, prickle, nose warming, nose drying. The wine, is it cherried, is it nutty, is it oily, coarse, cereal. So we're looking at all these different flavours. So you've got the fruity, citric, fresh fruit, cooked fruit, fainty, is it plasticky, is it sweaty, that's this description of faint, tobacco-ish, leather, floral, that's pretty self-explanatory, fragrant, greenhouse, leafy, hay-like, sulphury whisky is not necessarily a bad whisky. Woody, woody is for me is usually it's a bit too old. And peaty, we've got peaty medicinal. Now medicinal is very often a good description of Talisker, smoky, kippery, mossy. Now this goes through the whole lot for each of the whiskies. We could quickly go on to the nosing wheel itself. This is worthwhile printing out. This gives you the standard flavours and the standard, what you'd know is what you'd expect to find in a whisky. And it's very good. All flavours, taste, floral, fruity, cereal, vegetable, woody, spicy, roasted, and the breakdown there. That's worthwhile as a reference. But the third one, with the little wheel, whisky name, distiller, age, origin, price, sampled, rating, that's one that you should print out and keep. Your notes, colour meter, so you put down your whisky. Let's say it's the swing I had earlier. So we put whisky name, swing superior, distiller, it's Johnny Walker, age, unaged, it's probably reasonably young, under 10 years old, I would guess that. Origin, well, Scottish, price, unknown, but probably £200-300 that one. Samples, that's the date, and rating, what I'd give it. Your notes, you'd speak about it. I doubt if you speak about the bottle because everyone knows what swing looks like. Then colour meter. So, looking at the colour meter and looking at the whisky, that's a fairly amber to caramel colour. It's easier to look at in the glass, and we'll go into the glass when we actually nose things. Then your flavour wheel. So the flavour wheel is a nice circle, and let's start at the heat proof, that's the strength. So does it burn, does it not? You mark that up, you put a dot there. Dark fruit, citrus fruits, floral, so dark fruit, has it got it? Yes, no, put a line up how close it is. Right to centre, 0, a very strong dark fruity taste is up high. Citrus fruit, floral, spicy, herbal, malty, toffee, woody. You fill all these in, and when you fill them all in, you'll get a nice picture, really, or pictorial representation of that whisky for you. So, that really takes you through this one, which is the main one. Hopefully you'll be able to print that out from this presentation. I don't know if you can or not. If you can't, get back to me and we'll try and figure a way, or you may be able to find these elsewhere. So that's all I'm going to say today. I hope I've cleared up a few things, and the next episode 3 we're going to taste something. I don't know what yet, but we're going to taste something. Okay, thumbs up if you like it, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.